This is vlog number 5, and first I'm going to be talking about chapter 4. So in chapter 4 it pretty much discusses tools writers use to be persuasive, and a big tool, probably the major tool they need, is evidence to prove that what they're saying is true, so people believe it and it's persuasive. The author says that in order for their evidence to work in being persuasive, readers need to know that what they're reading is true and accurate. So then it goes into telling us like tools for readers to know if this information is accurate. So the author says the first is logical and empirical strengths, and then in limitations, and in the second one is how those powers are like psychological of that. So the first discusses like stories and how they use evidence and facts and things like that, but in a more like fun, uplifting way. And then it gives 3 reasons to judge the accuracy of what that person is saying in that story. So the first one is degrees of plausibility, degree of truth, degree of engagement, and those are just tools readers can use when reading a story to make sure that it's accurate. The second section talks about stats and then like more the numbers side of it. So the author says that a lot of the time stats can be misleading and readers don't really know what they're reading or how to understand what they're reading, like in regards to why do these numbers make sense, like where did they come from, that kind of thing. The third section talks about like visuals, so that can help readers understand what those numbers are saying. Like they can look at a graph, a picture, something to further explain what they're reading so they know how to interpret what they're reading. The next section talks about analogies. First, literal analogies, which we already learned about in this class. That's comparing 2 things that are similar. An example of this could be comparing cars. Like if you have 2 Honda cars, like they're both Hondas and they're both cars, but what are the differences between the 2 cars? The second is figurative analogies, and that is comparing 2 completely different things, so it's the opposite of literal analogies. Next, there were 4 essays in reading pop culture. The first one was television addiction, and this one talked about how people are so addicted to television they almost go through withdrawal symptoms of it. Like the author said they feel like there's something missing. They get kind of more angry, and that is just kind of showing how addicted people are to TV nowadays. The second was Girls, 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 and this was about how women are portrayed in Hollywood, how they're represented, how they're misrepresented, and it goes into saying how specifically women of color aren't represented correctly in Hollywood, and that it's just negative and women aren't really portrayed in the correct way. The third was Apocalyptic Strain, and that was about how Americans like watching things about disasters. There's a ton of movies that have been super successful that have been about devastating things, like for example 2012 about the world ending, San Andreas about the earthquakes that pretty much destroyed California, Titanic, a horrible boat incident. There's a ton of movies and shows about disasters and how Americans like that. They like seeing what that could be like. And then the last one was about TV streaming. The title was Netflix and the Future of TV. It was about how TV streaming is becoming way more popular than actual like cable television is becoming, and it's pretty much just like completely like overpowering the movie and the TV industry. So that was really interesting to see how like Netflix and Hulu, just streaming like that, has become more popular than actually watching TV. And that's it.